April 1838. Far West, April 6, 1838. Agreeable to a resolution passed by the High Council of Zion, March 3, 1838, the saints in Missouri assembled in this place to celebrate the anniversary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and to transact church business. Joseph Smith, Jr. and Sidney Rigdon presiding. The meeting was opened by singing and prayer by David W. Patton, after which President Joseph Smith, Jr. read the order of the day as follows. Doors will be opened at 9 o'clock a.m., and the meeting will commence by singing and prayer. A sexton will then be appointed as a doorkeeper, and other services in the house of the Lord. 2 historians will then be appointed to write and keep the church history. Also a general recorder to keep the records of the whole church, and to be the clerk of the first presidency. And a clerk will be appointed for the High Council, and to keep the church records of this stake. 3 presidents will be appointed to preside over this Church of Zion, after which an address will be delivered by the presidency, then an intermission of 1 hour, when the meeting will again convene and open by singing and prayer. The sacrament will then be administered, and the blessing of infants attended to. The meeting proceeded to business. George Morey was appointed sexton, and Dimmick Huntington assistant. John Correll and Elias Higby historians. George W. Robinson, General Church Recorder, and Clerk to the First Presidency. Ebenezer Robinson, Church Clerk and Recorder for Far West, and Clerk of the High Council. Thomas B. Marsh, President pro tempore of the Church in Zion, and Brigham Young and David W. Patton, his assistant presidents. After 1 hour's adjournment, meeting again opened by David W. Patton. The bread and wine were administered, and 95 infants were blessed. President Joseph Smith, Jr., President, Ebenezer Robinson, Clerk. Minutes of the First Quarterly Conference at Far West. Agreeable to a resolution of the High Council, March 3, 1838, and the general authorities of the Church met to hold the Quarterly Conference of the Church of the Latter-day Saints at Far West on the 7th of April, 1838. President Joseph Smith, Jr., Sidney Rigdon, Thomas B. Marsh, David W. Patton, and Brigham Young took the stand, after which the several quorums, the High Council, the High Priests, the 70s, the Elders, the Bishops, the Priests, teachers, and deacons were organized by their presidents. President Joseph Smith, Jr. made some remarks and also gave some instructions regarding the order of the day. After singing, prayer by Brigham Young, and singing again. President Smith then addressed the congregation at considerable length, followed by President Rigdon, adjourned 20 minutes. Opened by David W. Patton, who also made some remarks respecting the 12 apostles. He spoke of Thomas B. Marsh, Brigham Young, Heber C. Kimball, Orson Hyde, Parley P. Pratt, and Orson Pratt as being men of God, whom he could recommend with cheerfulness and confidence. He spoke somewhat doubtful of William Smith, for something he had heard respecting his faith in the work. He also spoke of William E. McClellan, Luke S. Johnson, Lyman E. Johnson, and John F. Boynton as being men whom he could not recommend to the conference. President John Murdoch represented the High Council. The report was favorable. The seats of Elisha H. Groves, Calvin B.B., and Lyman White were vacant in consequence of their having moved so far away they could not attend the council. Thomas B. Marsh nominated Jared Carter to fill the seat of Elisha H. Groves, John P. Green that of Calvin B.B., and George W. Harris that of Lyman White, which nominations were severally and unanimously sanctioned. George W. Harris was ordained a high priest. On motion, conference adjourned to the 8th, 9 o'clock a.m. Sunday, April 8th, 9 o'clock a.m. Conference convened and opened as usual. Prayer by Brigham Young. President Joseph Smith, Jr. made a few remarks respecting the Kirtland Bank. He was followed by Brigham Young, who gave a short history of his travels to Massachusetts and New York. President Charles C. Rich represented his quorum of high priests and read their names. The principal part were in good standing. President Daniel S. Miles and Levi W. Hancock represented the 70s. The quorum of elders were represented by their president, Harvey Green, numbering 124 in good standing. President Joseph Smith, Jr. made a few remarks on the word of wisdom, giving the reason of its coming forth, saying it should be observed. Adjourned for 1 hour. Conference convened agreeable to adjournment and opened as usual, after which Bishop Partridge represented his council and the lesser priesthood, and made a report of receipts and expenditures of church funds which had passed through his hands. It was then moved, seconded, and carried that the first presidency be appointed to sign the licenses of the official members of the church.